So you're dealing with that, okay, all the time. I am too. We all are. All the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. Then you start getting crazy people in my industry. Again, I apologize. Do this, do that. I've got a proven method. Do this formula. You could do this, make $1 million. So you're dealing with that. You're dealing with this underlying thing that you should be doing everything for free anyway. So there's already something wrong with you that you have a business in the first place, right? So you have all that going on. And then you have the day-to-day responsibilities of running your business and you wonder why you're overwhelmed or feeling blech or you're not quite clear. And then you sit there and go, Sarah, I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm like, I know. I got it. Here's what we're going to be covering today. All right, who's feeling overwhelmed or who's feeling like a little bit of a lack of clarity? So here's the deal, people. It's about the long game, right? It's about the Tom Brady's of the world, quite frankly, right? I mean, is that man, I don't care who you like, who you don't like, the fact that at 43 in his 10th Super Bowl, he won again with grace and what looked like to me, someone who's never played football, ease. Not ease like he was like, but he was so focused. This was not his first rodeo. He was not freaking out. He didn't have the adrenaline going crazy. He was seasoned. He knew what he was doing and he kept going. Long game. Now, I also want you guys to know, I don't know if you know this, he was the 199th draft pick. 199. Like, that's a reason to give up. Honestly, like, let's be straight, right? Like, that's a reason to be like, well, I'm not going to make it. And for those of you who've been in business for a while, you know that feeling, right? You're like, I've tried it. It didn't work. Like, what's the point? I should just give up. When you're in these moments of overwhelm and there's a lack of clarity, there's really one simple thing that's going on. You don't know what to do next. That's it. That's it. That's where overwhelm comes in. You can see where this leaves you, right? It leaves you with a desk full of stuff and this feeling of like, I just don't want to do this right now. Or I'll start on Facebook because that's easy. Or I'll start on Instagram because that's easy. And 45 minutes later, you look up and you're like, oh crap, right? Focus. One thing at a time. It's not, yeah, sure, honey. Yeah, okay, go. Wait, where's she going? And the first thing I'm going to ask you is, when are you paying yourself? Yikes. That's a big deal. And so many of you aren't. I know, because I work with you and I hear you. And it's really hard to stay on that treadmill when you're not getting paid. And it's not like you're not having revenue come in, right? The revenue's coming in, but you're not paying yourself. So understanding that alone will help. And I know that sounds silly. And for those of you that have just started out, you're like, I don't even know where to start. Please start by that very first time you sell something, put $1 in your personal bank account. I'm not even kidding. I know it sounds silly, but if you won't do it now when you're making 10, 15, 20, 100, 10,000, whatever your price point is, if you don't put that money to yourself now, what the hell makes you think you're going to do it later? You're not going to. You got to start the habit now when it's $1, and then it's $10. And then it's $100, and then it's $1,000, and then it's $10,000, and then it's $100,000. Like, you've got to start now or it's not going to happen. So a lot of the time when I hear the overwhelm and I hear the blech and I hear the I don't know what to do, you're not clear on why you started your business. And I don't mean just find your why. I mean the nuts and bolts. Like, you started your business to make a living. I don't know anybody in here who called me or who's part of this group or wants to come to Coffee with Coach who's like, yeah, I started my business as a hobby. Not one of you has ever said that to me. That's not why you're here. And as women, we have a massive societal training to overcome to get this to sink in. And that training is that you should do everything for free. That training is you should be selfless. That training is if a woman does it, it's not worth as much. You know, when we could go to school, those of us that are parents, and those of you that aren't parents, you probably see this or you hear about it from your friends who are parents, or you remember it from when you were a child, that everybody who volunteers at school is a woman, and they volunteer. And that's not like an hour a day. Some of those are full-time jobs and they don't get paid. And if a man shows up one time, if a dad shows up one time, it's like the second freaking coming. It's like, oh my God, it's so great that you're here, oh my God. And then a woman who's given up weeks and weeks of her life is like, yeah, go do that thing. We've been trained that way. And again, I don't say this like there's some big bad out there telling us to do this. I don't mean it like that. But I do want you to be aware of the air you've been breathing. I want you to be aware of the ideas you've sucked into your brain because they were handed to you before you could really process them or think about them. And then you see it reinforced with friends and neighbors and colleagues and parents and siblings and people that you love. And you watch it get reinforced and you wonder why you're not making more money in your business. And I say that because it's really not your fault. In fact, it's not even their fault. That was the air they were told to breathe too, and they sucked it in and they started creating neural pathways and synapses, and now it happens before any of us even realize. And that's why I want to talk about it, because if you realize it, you can do something about it. You're trying to plant a seed when you've been told you shouldn't, or that it's selfish, or that you should just let someone else who's smarter than you take care of it for you. Right? And if you pay them enough, they'll fix it for you. Aha. So it's a big thing for us to overcome. So you're dealing with that, okay, all the time. I am too. We all are. All the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. Then you start getting crazy people in my industry. Again, I apologize. Do this, do that. I've got a proven method. Do this formula. You could do this, make $1 million. So you're dealing with that. You're dealing with this underlying thing that you should be doing everything for free anyway. So there's already something wrong with you that you have a business in the first place, right? So you have all that going on. And then you have the day-to-day responsibilities of running your business and you wonder why you're overwhelmed or feeling blech or you're not quite clear. And then you sit there and go, Sarah, I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm like, I know. I got it. All right? But I think it's really important that we deal with this head on and that we stand in this group shoulder to shoulder to support each other as we walk forward, because every single one of us is going to run into this unless you're under the age of 20 at some point. You just are. Because we're literally trying to deconstruct synapses in our brains that have been put in place since we could barely speak. Boys are 10 times more likely to be called on than girls in school. Boys are rewarded for speaking out. Girls are punished. And by the second grade, it's like 10%. 10% of the girls that were raising their hands in kindergarten are still raising their hand. 10%. That's second and third grade. That's how long this has been ingrained in you. And again, I don't say that to piss us off. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the truth, and I'm interested in understanding the game that we're playing, okay? And the tools that we've been given, and the things that we might have to deconstruct in order to make ourselves stronger. That's it, okay? The next thing I want to talk about here is the power of focus. And what we're going to do now is just, I want you, when you get the blech, when you get the, I don't know what to do, when you get the overwhelm, when you're just feeling like, I don't, that kind of thing that can happen, is I want you to actually, there's two ways you can do this. One, you can actually just look at all your numbers, whether it's social media numbers, your open rate on your emails, your click-through rate on your emails, a click-through rate on any ads if you're running ads, and then the actual conversion rate on the other side of that. Conversion rate meaning how many people take the action you want them to take. Act like a CEO. Your time is so precious. Which one of these areas actually is there a return on investment? And by return on investment, it may not be financial if you're just starting out, but it can be a return on investment in that you're seeing other markers start to move the more time you spend inside that social network. That's numbers. Or you're actually having people reaching out to work with you. That's numbers, right? You should know which social networks are actually doing that for you. And then stop being on the rest of them. I'm not kidding. That's the power of focus. No vanity metrics. That will help you get clear. Can you imagine how much more powerful your Facebook following would be if that's all you did and you didn't worry about the rest? Can you see the power in that? And I would bet if you're afraid to cut it off, it's about your ego. It's not about your business, right? I have to be on there because other people are on there. No, you don't. You need to be where it serves you and it serves the people you want to help. The end. So that can help you focus. And finally, what I want you to do is look at your day, and let's say you want to bring in more revenue. Then your question is, what is the number one thing I can do today to cause more revenue in my business? You know what it is. Chances are you just don't want to do it. You're not confused. You're not overwhelmed. You don't want to do it. Which I have empathy for. I get it, right? Different. So that's the quick little exercise you can do. Look at some numbers. Make some decisions as a CEO about what's working for you and what isn't, and cut out the garbage. Cut it out. So you can get clear and continue to focus, yeah? You have control over exactly one thing, and it's what you choose to do next. And that's why that question is so powerful. What is the one thing I can do today to bring in more revenue? What is the one thing I can do today to make sure I reach more people? What is the one thing I can do today to make sure I'm speaking to my client the way they need to be spoken to, or my customer? You've got to start to look at what actually matters to you and get rid of this vanity BS. It's just not important, and it takes away your money, it takes away your time, it takes away your emotion and heart and focus and ability to think. I love that you're impacting other people's lives. I love that you lead with service. I would not want it any other way. And I will not tolerate women being in my space and devaluing who they are financially. It just won't happen. So if you're hearing me, I want you to start to look at your numbers. I want you to start to look at where you're not making the money that you know you can make. All right? I love you guys to pieces. Have a beautiful week. Please stay focused. Cut out the fat, and let's get this party started.